guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm just gonna do the basic YouTube intro that like everyone does. If you clicked on this video, it's because you're probably curious about studying in Japan or maybe going to language school in Japan, and you came to the right place because that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. So if you're new here, my name's Angie. I've been in Japan for about 2.5 years. Right now, I'm a university student. I actually graduate this upcoming December. It's August right now. And I currently study economics, but when I first came to Japan 2.5 years ago, I went to Japanese language school. The top, I guess my rice is ready. Top 3 things I want to talk about in this video are basically my opinion on the school, my true and honest opinion, whether I think you should go to language school and whether it's worth it or not. And I want to talk about the school for a little bit, and I also want to talk about some advice and how I got to find this school and how I got to come to Japan and study over here. So first of all, I went to a Japanese language school called Shinjuku Nihongo Gakko, and that's Shinjuku Language Institute. If anyone watches any other YouTubers, I heard about the school because of Mikan Mandarin. If you guys have never watched her YouTube, you guys should go check her out. I chose this school because I couldn't really find reviews or any type of information on other Japanese language schools. I was looking at another one that was like more advanced than this one, but I just in the end ended up going to Shinjuku Language Institute. The thing with this school is that they have their own teaching method called the Ezoe method. Ezoe is the owner, the creator of the school, and he has his own method to like teach Japanese to other people. So because the school has their own methods, they have their own books that they've created. They don't use textbooks that you can just find anywhere. These are only textbooks that you can get at the school. They're from the school, and to be quite honest, I don't think they are great. I think the method is effective because at the end of the day I did learn Japanese, and I didn't speak any Japanese when I first came to Japan, so to see where I am today, I can't say that, you know, it's not thanks to the school, but it's not 100% because of the school that I can speak Japanese. I have a lot of the books here with me, and it's a lot of them. So I ended up going to this school for about a year and 3 months, and that's not because I wanted to. I only ended up staying at the school for that long because if you're not familiar with Japan, like in America, in the States, you get to basically apply for school almost anytime. Here in Japan, it's about once or twice a year. They have, I think one of the seasons is like August, September, October, and then another one is like April, March, like application season. But because of that timeline, I had to stay at the language school and basically wait. I had applied to some Japanese universities, so I was just waiting to see if I would get accepted into them, so then I could leave the Japanese language school and go to university. I ended up not going to any of those Japanese universities that I ended up waiting for a while. And I ended up going to another university, which is an American university that has rolling applications. And that was kind of like my last resort. It's not what I really wanted to do or what I really wanted to study, but I just ended up doing it kind of like, not because I had no other choice, but that's also kind of the main reason. Main reason is because it's an American university, I could get not only financial scholarships, but I could also get financial aid from the American government. I just ended up getting loans, so that's how I was able to study at this university. If I went to a Japanese university, I would have to pay up front, which I don't have that kind of money, so that's kind of like the pickle that I was stuck in. Okay, back to the books. These are kanji books that we got. Sorry, this is not the kanji book. This is the kanji like notebook to like practice kanji. I have several of these because I was at the school for a while. This is the actual book. I have 3 of these. Beginner 1, Beginner 2, and then Advanced, which I think we used this one for a while. This is what the beginner book looks like. It's basically the kanji that you study like when you're like in elementary and stuff like that. This is what the book looks like. It has photos as well as like where the kanji like came from, and then you also have some space to practice your kanji writing. You learn about 10 in the beginners class. You learn about like 10 kanji a day or something like that. Once you get to advanced, you learn about 20 kanji a day, and this is every day, 5 times a week. And then you have an exam like at the end of the week. Once you get to the more advanced classes, this is what the kanji looks like. We also have the JOPT level, the kanji, the JOPT level. You have both of the readings. You have the steps on how to write it, and you also have some vocabulary words that use the kanji. Here's some of the advanced kanji. I'm going to be quite honest, I don't remember half of the kanji that I studied at this school because you just keep learning new ones every single day and you never review anything. Besides the kanji, you learn grammar and expressions every single day as well. On a daily basis, you learn 5, maybe more than 5 grammar points every single day, and you don't get to review any of them. So it's kind of hard to remember the Japanese and like have it really stick in your head to like actually use it. We would also get workbooks, and this was pretty thick, and this is for homework. We would get homework probably every day. The amount of pages would vary, and this is homework that you would have to, of course, do, turn it into your teacher, and then they would give it back to you probably the next class and correct it for you and stuff like that. This book is extremely full. This is something I'm going to get into about how we were obligated to buy so many books that we just didn't use at all. One of the textbooks, this is for the more, this is like the medium class. We did use this for advanced because I don't see any advanced books here. They would also like hand out printouts of like some things, and we would do them in class. So this is what the book would look like. Basically, we have a grammar point, and then we have example sentences with these grammar points. In the beginner classes, I do remember the teachers putting like the English translation of like a verb or something so we could understand, but that's the very, very, very beginners class. After that, they don't do that. After the beginners class, they don't use any English translations at all. So if you don't understand, it becomes really difficult because it's all taught in Japanese, and a lot of these teachers don't speak English or any other languages, only speak Japanese. In these books, we would also get like reading passages and conversations and stuff like that to practice. Sometimes they would pair students up and have conversations of grammar points that we learned that day as well. Here's one of the books, one of many books that we didn't use at all in class. And this is a book from the school, SNG. And you guys can see up here that it says like Ezoe method. Yeah, I don't know what any of this is. It explains like their method and like basically like how to use it, but we didn't use this in class at all. We were obligated to buy this book, so this was a waste of money. For the beginners class, a very, very beginners class that we had to buy some like similar looking books like this one. I don't remember using this at all. If we did, it might have been a couple times during that semester term, but you can't really understand anything here. It's not something that even if you like left the school, it's a book that's like valuable to your learning journey because you can't use this at all. So another book that was a waste of money is, I remember this one. We did use it a little bit, so it's very similar to the other ones, but it just has a little bit more writing in it and some photos. I think with this, I used audio recordings at times so we could listen and look at the photos to like see what was going on. Ones that I could say that we used the most were these textbooks for when you get to like the more advanced classes, and not even that much. These are also useless. You can't really use these to study on your own time because there's no structure to it. Here's a book that I don't understand why they made us buy. It's a book on Japanese history. It sounds cool and all, but it's very difficult Japanese, pretty advanced Japanese at. I've shown this to like Japanese friends and they're like, this is even hard for me to understand. And we had to buy this book not even in the advanced classes. We had to buy this book like right after beginner's class, and we used it a couple of times, but we didn't really like read from the book. They would bring us printouts of like something related to the book, and then we would read those printouts and discuss those printouts. So we never used this history book. Here's another book that we never used, this one. It's a book on modern society. We probably never used this. They just did printouts and we discussed what was on the printouts. And what we did discuss was very, very difficult topics. It's not really something that you like discuss on a daily with people or with like your friends at all. Here's an interesting book that everyone was really confused when we saw that we had to buy this. It's an English book. This was part of the beginner's class. I can kind of understand why we would use a book like this, because it has English and Japanese. Mostly just use this with printouts and like practice conversations. That's what this book is about, just conversations. We had students from other countries in my class that didn't understand or speak English at all. So this book is kind of useless because not everyone can speak and understand English. So these students that don't know English had to buy this book and not be able to use it. Definitely don't think this is a book that you could use to like learn Japanese on your own. It's not straightforward or anything. It's mostly English. There's not like translations for everything or anything like that. We would mostly do these type of conversations. They would hand us printouts and we would just have to translate it into Japanese. Kanji Books, for example, have a lot of free space that I could use to practice writing kanji. And I also have all of this kanji information, so I kept these. I think these are valuable for self-study. Everything else when it comes to the grammar, they're all useless. One of the last things I have is just my graduation certificate. So when you graduate, they give you your certificate inside of this nice folder. This is what like the big kanji exam would look like. It would be an exam with about, this one has 35 questions. So yeah, they give you a sentence and you just have to write the missing, well, you have the word down there in hiragana, and then you just have to write the kanji for it. When you finish a class, they give you this, and you get to sit down and talk to your teacher about your progress in the class and whether you passed or you failed, and they give you like give you this, and it's just the information on your class and your grades for the exams and stuff like that. So personally, my experience with the school, I don't think it was that great. That's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people that do enjoy Shinjuku Japanese Language Institute, but I didn't like how we had to buy all these books that we ended up not using. I did enjoy a lot of my teachers at the school. I think the school has really great teachers that love what they're doing and they love to teach students. And I appreciate a lot of the teachers that I had. I really enjoyed my time with them and a lot of my classmates. But I remember one term, I think it was my second beginner class, so beginner 1, beginner 2, my second beginner class. We had a very, very, very strict Japanese teacher, and she was extremely serious. She was super strict, and she was, to be honest, she was mean and rude, and we didn't understand why, because we had just come from a very a very nice teacher. We had 2 teachers in the first beginner class that they were so nice, they were always so happy, and they were always so sweet. And then we go to the second class, and then this teacher's super strict, to the point that my friend, who was late several times in the class, she kind of threatened her and said that, you know, that she would fail her for the class, and that will make her visa at risk. So she was like threatening her to not be late anymore. She wasn't being like nice about it, like, oh, be careful. She was like being really mean. And in the middle of class, several times I happened to me and my friend, she would kind of like embarrass us in the middle of class if we got like wrong answers or things like that, if we didn't know what the correct answer was. And this wasn't only to me and my friends, but to other classmates as well. You could tell that there was a lot of tension in that classroom, but because of this teacher. And I know a lot of students complained about her, so much so that the school sat down with her and they talked with her. A lot of students were complaining about her, so I don't know where it stands today, but she was not a good teacher and extremely unnecessarily rude and mean to a lot of students that truthfully don't deserve it, because we're all here in a new country. Probably most of us are by ourselves with no family here. And we're just coming to school because we want to study and learn Japanese culture and history. And we're just kind of like getting thrown aback because of a teacher that maybe doesn't like teaching Japanese, or she doesn't enjoy her job. That was one of the main problems, the books. And the other thing was because COVID was still a very serious thing here in Japan. The school did a lot of the classes online. For probably most of the time that I was at the school, we were remote. Make everything so much more harder, not only for me, but for a lot of other students who want to go to school and they want to socialize and they want to meet people. But we were just stuck at home for months and months and months, just doing remote. Normal universities and elementary and high school and all these other schools, they were allowed to go to school, but for some reason this Japanese language school was like, no, you guys can study from home. And a lot of people weren't liking that. I didn't enjoy it. It really changed everything for me. I felt like I wasn't learning at all, considering, you know, the whole system changes when you're not in a classroom, being able to talk to other people and talk to your teacher and actually learn face to face. Another thing that I didn't like was that the school completely stopped all events and all excursions, which was a huge bummer. Some positives of the school is that I really do think, like I said, they have great teachers. Another thing is that if you have never studied Japanese and you want to come and experience and learn a little bit of Japanese, something beginner, maybe a little bit more than that, I think the school's good for that. Not only the school, but maybe in general, Japanese language school. The beginner classes at this school, at least beginner 1, I really enjoyed. So I do recommend this school for that. When it comes to the advanced classes, everything changes. The whole teaching method changes. It's very difficult, stricter, and you're kind of like left on your own to like study and do this by yourself. It's kind of a waste of money and time, because you would just walk into the classroom and they're just like, these 20 kanjis, you have to learn them today, you're gonna have a quiz tomorrow. And it's not like they would be practiced in class or anything like that. They would just kind of read it like a book. Okay, this kanji is this kanji is that, this kanji is this kanji is that. And it would take about 5 minutes, and then they're like, okay, make sure you study these today for a quiz tomorrow. I don't like that. That's not really teaching. That's not really how you learn, in my opinion. So that's something I didn't like about the school. I want to get into the topic of how I found this school, how I came to Japan. So I found this Japanese language school on a website called Gogo Nihon. If you've done research about studying in Japan, maybe you've heard of them before. It's a very, very famous company. This isn't the only school that you can find on there. They have other language schools. They also have Senmon Gakko, It's not only in Tokyo, you can also find it in other parts of Japan if you would like to study elsewhere. And this is basically a service that'll help you come and study in Japan, and they help you through every step of the way. Gogo Nihon is a great service. They'll help anyone. They have people that speak tons of different languages, so if you're worried about not speaking English or not speaking Japanese, that's not a problem. I'm sure there's someone that can help you in your native language or any other language. Yeah, I think it's a great service. All you have to do is go to their website and just sign some information, and they'll contact you in regards to, you know, what you want to do when it comes to in regards to Japan. That's what I used. And if you were to go through Gogo Nihon, the process takes about 3 months from start to finish once you've actually like decided that, okay, I do want to go to Japan. There's a lot of information that you have to be prepared for, and a lot of money that you have to be prepared for in order to come to Japan, because the Japanese government is going to ask for a lot of information about you or your family. So just be prepared for a lot of documentation and a lot of information. It's gonna probably be a little bit overwhelming, but if I can do it, I believe anyone else can do it, and I did this on my own, so I know that you could do this on your own as well. I didn't really have family support to come to Japan, so if you're worried about that, I totally understand how that feels. But if this is something that you want and that you've been wanting for a while, then I think that you should really, really do it. And I know a lot of people would say like, I don't have the money or anything like that, and that's totally understandable. I didn't have the money either when I first heard about Gogo Nihon, but I was set in my mind that I wanted to come and study in Japan. I saved up money for about 2 years, and I had 2 jobs in order to be able to afford. I think at first I signed up for either 6 to a year. I was like telling myself, I'll just figure it out when I'm over there. I did. Before coming, I did want to study at a Japanese language school and eventually go to university, because in America, I'm from Puerto Rico, but I studied in Miami for 2-3 years, and I got my associate's degree. I never got my undergraduate degree, and that's a whole other story as to why I ended up not doing that. It's because tuition in America is very expensive. I knew that I wanted to go to university and finish my undergraduate degree, so I knew that I would be here for more than a year, but I just didn't know how to get there. So I came here and I figured that out, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people do want to come here and just figure it out when they're here, but it's safe to just figure out what you want to do before coming to Japan, and that's whether going to language school for a little bit, taking the JLPT, going back home, or if you want to get a job, or if you want to go to university. Really think about everything, really plan it out before you come here, because a lot of things here are time restricted, so you have to be careful with that, and visas expire and things like that, and you can't quit school, not do anything in order to look for a job, because that's just not how your visa works. So you have to be very careful, so just keep that in mind. And yeah, once I used Gogo Nihon and I came here to Japan and got settled, I am where I am today. I'm getting my undergraduate this year. I study economics, which is not something I imagined to ever study in my life, but here I am. Next year I will hopefully be working. I'm still working through that for an IT company, but that's something I guess I'll talk about in another video, because everything is still kind of like fresh and in the air. But yeah, I just want to say that like a lot of people have the dream to study in Japan or study in other countries, and a lot of people think that they can't do it for a lot of reasons, or they don't have the confidence, or they don't have the means and stuff like that. And I'm just here to tell you that like, I believe in you. I know that you can do it. I did it without support from my family, so you can do it too. I had support from my friends and people around me, so, and I knew what I wanted, and I think that was enough for me to come here and live my life. And here I am in my tiny 2-bedroom apartment in the center of Tokyo, and I have friends here, and I have a life here. I've built a life for myself, and yeah, if you guys want to keep seeing my journey here, you should subscribe. Please subscribe. Especially if you enjoy this video, you should also like it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. If you have Instagram, you should go follow me on Instagram. If you have TikTok, you can also follow me on TikTok. Now subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, you should subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!